and their career progression.
In Britain, mothers are 3 times more likely to work part-time than fathers. Following the pandemic, the shift to remote working has made it easier for some parents to work more flexibly, but not all jobs allow this.
My work are very flexible, but it's a juggle, and at times just trying to work out my working pattern to be able to make it worthwhile me actually working or financially contributing to the house. I work office hours, my husband does shift work. I'm only 3 hours off full time, so legally technically I am a part-time worker. It's the most amount that I can work, that I then don't have to spend all of it on childcare.
Motherhood penalties vary across the world. One study looks at motherhood penalties in 6 rich countries. It finds that Germany, a country where a lot of women work part-time, had the worst penalty with a 61% drop in long-run earnings, while Denmark and Sweden have the smallest, but still sizable penalties. That's partly because Scandinavian countries have longer and better paid paternity leave.
We've seen as a result of that in Sweden that many more dads are taking time out of the workplace to care for their children. And as a result of that, we've seen that the gender pay gap is much smaller, the share of the unpaid labour is far more equal.
Over the last 50 or 60 years, we've seen big changes in gender dynamics, and in countries where we've seen that men have become more equal partners with women in raising kids, we see that fertility rates are actually higher than in similar countries where men aren't contributing as much to child rearing and housework.
Take Japan, where women spend far more time on household chores and childcare than men do, making it much harder for women to have a career and raise children, despite having some of the most generous maternity and paternity leave on the planet, which might explain why Japan has one of the lowest fertility rates in the world. In nearly all rich industrialized countries, fertility rates have fallen below 2.1 children per woman, the rate needed to maintain stable population. And on a macroeconomic level, that can cause problems.
So if fertility falls low enough, then there are potentially not enough workers in the next generation. In the long term, it means a change in the labor force, how many workers are available, how much money those workers are paying into pension programs, into taxes. Most industrialized countries are pretty far from that level, although there are a few that have seen really dramatic reductions in fertility.
More open immigration policies could help, but few countries seem willing to consider them. So falling birth rates can cause economic disruption should governments intervene.
You want to be careful that governments aren't doing things that are coercive or that unduly restrict people's freedom to have the kind of families and the number of children that they want. But there is a role for government for supporting families with children. And in many countries, there's certainly a lot more room for investment from the public sector. But it's not just about the economics, although that's part of it. But it's also about cultural ideals, it's about the influence of religion, and it's about the compatibility of motherhood and careers, and it's about gender dynamics.
Choosing to have children is a big decision, governed by deep emotions as well as practicalities. More generous parental leave, cheaper childcare, and flexibility at work might make the decision a bit easier. But despite the challenging
I said thank you very much.
those who do choose to have babies rarely regret it.
Thank you po. Carl, dito ka na lang.
Struggle
Sir,
a
thank
little
you.
bit, redefining your own image to yourself, but yeah, at the end of the day, life is just full of new person in your family.
Baby,
It's
si
the
Sia.
hardest thing you can ever do become a parent, but it's the most rewarding you've never experienced. It's extreme levels of joy and happiness and elation and pride as I have since I've had children.